Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Welcome to another RealTime Fantasy Sports show. On today's show, I'm once again joined by Logan Glaser, RealTime Fantasy Sports contributor. Logan, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
And for the first time ever on our RealTime Fantasy Sports show, we're going to have a guest. We're going to have a contributing writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, Mike Paur. He does a great job. He writes a weekly pitching primer column every week during the baseball season. During the football season, he writes a column as well, and that'll be up here shortly as we're getting underway for the fantasy football season here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. I want to talk about our commissioner product, though, Logan. So our commissioner product, I feel like it's the best in the business. Have a lot of unique stuff. If you've never used it, I highly encourage you to give us a shot. And for your first year, it's free. Promo code RTFS News. If you put that in, it's totally free for the first year. Great commissioner product.
Like you said, commissioner product is probably the best in the business. There are so many different options that you can choose from with setting up your schedule, setting up scores, setting up waiver wire. We've got a very complex waiver wire with so many different options that you can choose from, and you gotta check it out and use that first year free with the RTFS News promo code.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, if you're just playing our Money League games, they're great. We love them, and we have all different price points. Great contest this year, but give our commissioner product a shot too. Move your leagues over. Again, totally free for the first year. RTFS News. Okay, Logan, something else we're doing this year, which is totally new. We're going to talk about it at the end of the show with Mike Paur as well, is prop bets. We're really excited about this. It just went live on our site. Can you tell everybody a little bit about our new prop bets?
Yeah, we got a new game called Pick'em that's up in the daily lobby right now. So if you head over the daily lobby, go ahead and check it out. It is very fun, and there's so ways to win so much cash. You can select over-unders on different player props. So if you look at this video that we're going through right now, you can select over-unders on all of the different slates. We've got MLB, we're going to have NBA, we're going to have NFL, we're going to have other different sports come up here, and you can win up to 20 times your entry fee. So if you're only betting $1, you can win $20. If you bet $5, you can win 100, and there's lots of different ways to win serious cash. You can go back and check your My Plays. Scoring is live throughout these games. So while the games are going on, you can check those players' scores. There's so many different categories that you can choose from between fantasy points. We got strikeouts, total hits, total runs, all that you can name up for baseball. And then we're going to have that exact same for football. We got so many different options to choose from with that.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like I said, we're going to give some prop bets here at the end. I think it's a lot of fun, just a different way to play more fantasy sports on RealTime Fantasy Sports.
It is. It's a different way to get in the action for that day and follow along live.
Yep. So what we want to talk about with Mike Paur, we're going to bring him on here in a second, though, is the FSGA draft. So I feel like it's kind of the unofficial start of the fantasy season. All the industry folks get in these leagues. It's on SiriusXM radio. They broadcast it live, a lot of these events, and then they talk about it a lot on the air as well. I feel like it's just kind of the kickoff, gives people an idea of where people are going, who the industry experts like. I thought it'd be fun. All three of us were actually in leagues on the FSGA drafts going on. Mike was in one. I was in a best ball one, and you were in a prop bet one, which we just talked about. So we're going to talk about that. I want to bring Mike on now. Mike, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. It's always good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be the first guest, the trial run here. So hopefully I don't screw it up.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We're going to be doing a lot of this stuff going forward. So hopefully we have you on a lot. Like I said, we're going to talk about these FSGA drafts. Should be a lot of fun here to go over some strategies, what you liked, what you didn't like in the draft. I want to go over yours first. Again, these are 14-team leagues, so it's a little tougher, a little deeper. It's what was your strategy going into it, if I can ask that first question for you, Mike?
Yeah, so I had the 9th pick in the draft, which is not ideal, especially in a 14-teamer. I knew I wanted to grab a running back with my first pick. Being that it's such a deep league, running back was going to get ugly quick. And I was fine waiting at the quarterback position because it's only 4 points per passing touchdown. So that was basically how I executed. I took DeAndre Swift with my first pick. In a PPR scoring format, I like him more so than in a standard scoring. So he's where I went with the 9th pick.
I love DeAndre Swift this year. I've talked about him a lot already. I think he's going to have a monster year. I love that pick, Mike. You took him ahead of Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, so you really are all in on him as well. I'm going to go over your team a little bit now so people can see it. I'm going to put it up on the screen as well, but you have DeAndre Swift, CeeDee Lamb, Antonio Gibson, George Kittle, Elijah Moore, Robert Woods, Chris Olave, Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Rodgers, DJ Shark, Tim Patrick, Kenyon Drake, Jamison Crowder, Harrison Butker, Cowboys defense, and then Samaje Perine. So, Mike, I want to ask about the third-round pick of Antonio Gibson. I think he's kind of a little bit of a polarizing fantasy figure. You either love him or hate him. Obviously, I think you like him. You took him in the third round ahead of Alvin Kamara. Obviously, he's probably going to get suspended, but still, you took him ahead of some pretty good players as well. What's your thoughts on Antonio Gibson?
My Antonio Gibson pick was my least favorite pick of the entire draft. So I'm not that high on him. But again, we're dealing with a 14-team league. It was ugly by the time it got back around to me. I did not want to wait another round for things to get really bad. If this had been a best ball league, I would have taken Kamara. But again, with the suspension possibly looming over his head, I didn't want to take that risk. If you don't hit on your third pick in a draft this deep, and he were to get some sort of lengthy suspension, I'd be in trouble. So that's why I took Gibson in the third round. I'm not pumped about it by any means, but as my second running back in a 14-team league, I guess I could have done worse.
So I got to ask you about your next pick too. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but George Kittle. So is it a strategy of yours to go tight end early? Do you want to get one of these elite tight ends in your roster, or are you going to wait in most drafts and get two guys in the middle rounds? What do you like to do here?
Normally, I like to wait. Zach Ertz is somebody I'm targeting in the later rounds this year. I think he's in a great spot with the Cardinals, especially with the Hopkins suspension. But I just couldn't pass up Kittle there in the fourth round of a 14-team league. I thought the value was too good, so that's why I took him there.
I like it. And then you went three straight receivers. Again, I think that's a good strategy, especially with that position this year. It's really deep. You have Elijah Moore, Robert Woods, Chris Olave. So those are two of my targets as well. Elijah Moore, I really like him a lot this year. Chris Olave, too. I feel like he's a little bit underrated at this point. Michael Thomas, again, he's on the PUP list to start the season. I don't know how long it takes to get over an ankle injury. Apparently it's 3 years or whatever is going on with him. But, I mean, Chris Olave's sitting there, and I feel like he's falling a lot later than he should. Is this another one of your targets?
Yeah, like you said with Michael Thomas, who knows how many games he's going to play in. When he does finally play, or if he does finally play, what kind of shape he's going to be in. Olave's in a great spot there. He could potentially end up being their number one wide receiver for the whole season. So I think he's someone to definitely target.
Logan, I'm hogging all the airtime here.
No, I was just going to say, those wide receivers 5 through 7, each one of those could honestly be the number one wide receivers for those teams. You're looking at Elijah Moore. He's probably going to be the number one wide receiver for the Jets this year. You got Robert Woods moving to Tennessee. He also could be possibly number one, and then you got Chris Olave. So I really like that build with going wide receivers 5 through 7 there. And I also really like that Kittle pick. I think that Kittle pick is honestly one of my favorite picks in this draft that you put together. And I think the fourth round with a 14-team league is very good value for him.
So, Mike, I got to ask you, you kind of already said you didn't like the Antonio Gibson pick. Any other picks that you were on the fence about, that you're not happy with, that you wish you could do over and do something different? Anything that you want to tell our viewers out there?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with how the draft ended. The Gibson one was the one that really left a sour taste in my mouth. I'd say one of the ones I was the most excited about, because I'm not too down on this team overall. I liked getting Ramondre Stevenson in the 8th round. He showed a lot of potential when he was stepped up in a leading role last season. Who knows? He could surpass Damian Harris in short order here. So I like taking him in the 8th round. But again, Gibson's the only one that I lost any sleep over in this draft.
Tim Patrick, too, another one I want to point out. I love getting him. I think he's just going to go up as the season gets closer. I think that's a great pick in round 11. Any other guys that you didn't get that you were targeting and wish you would have had on your roster that you were thinking about getting before going into this draft?
I probably waited a little too long on quarterback, ending up with Aaron Rodgers. I am not high on him this season by any means, but he was kind of the best available by the time I finally got back on the clock to take a quarterback. I kind of missed one of those runs there. So I wish I had done maybe a round or two earlier on quarterback, but I guess I can't complain with how my skill positions came out, so I'll just take it with Rodgers and hope that he has some big weeks.
So overall in this draft, anything surprise you? Again, this was an industry draft, FSGA. A lot of the top experts are in this. Dr. Roto's in this. A lot of really good players. Andy Barron's as well with Yahoo. So any surprises at all? Anything that was unexpected to you that happened in this draft?
Yeah, as I had mentioned, my strategy was to wait on quarterback. I was a bit surprised to see 5 of them get selected in the first 4 rounds. That seemed a little bit early for me, and those teams kind of had some difficulty filling their skill position later on. One pick that I wanted to single out, as I mentioned, I'm very high on Zach Ertz. I thought Cody from Sports Gambling, getting him in the 8th round when Dalton Schultz went in the 5th, I thought that was a pretty nice value play for him there.
I love Zach Ertz too. I think he's a great value, especially early in the season when DeAndre Hopkins is out. I think he's going to get a ton of targets. Christian Kirk's gone too, so I love Ertz too. He's been one of my targets as well in early drafts. All right, Mike, let's shift focus. We're going to go to my draft now. I did a best ball one, so this was a little different strategy. Ironically, I got Antonio Gibson as well, who you just talked about. I took him in the 4th round. And I'm kind of like you. I'm not super high on him, but I felt like the value was there. And in a best ball, I like him a little more because I think he's more capable of the big game compared to people around him like Elijah Mitchell and Damian Harris. I had the opportunity to take them over Gibson, but I just feel like Gibson has a higher ceiling, so that's why I took him. Overall, my team, I'll just read through it real quick, Logan. Najee Harris, I had the 6th pick in the draft. So I got Najee Harris with the 1st pick, then Ezekiel Elliott, A.J. Brown, Antonio Gibson, Darnell Mooney, Chris Godwin, Robert Woods, another player that's on Mike's roster, Derek Carr, James Robinson, Mike Gesicki, Matt Ryan, Logan Thomas, Mac Jones, Kenyon Drake on Mike's roster as well, Hayden Hurst, Laviska Shenault, Damian Williams, Bears defense, and I took 2 kickers to end my draft. What do you think?
Yeah, with best ball strategy, it's all about the roster composition. I really think that plays such a huge role into it. I really like your strategy. I think 3 quarterbacks is kind of a must with best ball, just in case one misses some time. And then you also have that bye week. You have to get points out of your QB position with that. Unlike you guys, I love Antonio Gibson this year, especially with how late he's going in drafts. I'm just so surprised with how late he's going. He's going, in this one, he went near the end of the 4th round in a 14-team league. In lots of drafts, I've seen him even go in the 5th round. So I absolutely love the value with him there. The one thing that kind of stood out, what was your strategy with going only with 1 defense? Do you think that's fine with just going with 1 defense and taking that 0 that week? Or would you rather have, like, instead of Damian Williams, another defense in that spot?
I mean, my thinking wasn't a 14-team league. I wanted to maximize the points. I feel like, that running back spot is so valuable and receiver as well. Normally, I would do 2 and 2 for defense and kicker, but I just felt like, in a deeper league, I just didn't want to, miss out on points at key position. I know you're going to take a 0-1 week, but hopefully it's not doesn't impact me too much. I'm figuring it's going to be about 6 or 7 points, so hopefully I can overcome that.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think? You got any questions for me about my roster here that I built in this FSGA draft?
No, I like your roster. I really like the pick of getting Harris with the 6th overall selection. I thought that was great. Looking at the draft in general, I was surprised to see Mahomes go in the 2nd round of a best ball. I mean, you can piece together that position, like you guys were saying, with multiple players there and just get the best of each week. So I was a bit surprised to see Mahomes go so early in the draft.
Yeah, I'm with that. With the quarterback position, I'm like you, just like what you said. If you're going to take 3 in a best ball like I did and like most owners did here, you got to think one of them is going to hit in that given week. And so I think using early draft capital on a quarterback is just not a great move. I'd rather go heavy on running back, receiver as well, and I like to load up on receivers kind of in the middle rounds too, kind of like what Mike did with his draft. And I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Chris Godwin too, he's a guy I got in the 6th round. Could miss some time early in the year, but I got him as my 3rd receiver. So this guy could be a wide receiver number 1 by week 7 or 8. So I kind of like the strategy of getting guys that might miss some time early in the year that have dropped, especially if you can get them as bench players like DeAndre Hopkins. He's been a target of mine in a ton of best ball drafts that I've done so far this year, and I think it's just great value.
Yeah. Another surprise that we've kind of been seeing more recently in drafts is McCaffrey going number 1 overall over Taylor, and we saw this in this best ball draft. I think especially with best ball, McCaffrey, you have a case to make him the number 1 with his upside, especially with best ball, how you kind of need those boomer bust players. And McCaffrey, I would say, has the highest upside out of any player this year. But Taylor's the more safe play, but the upside is with McCaffrey.
I totally agree. Definitely another polarizing figure, Christian McCaffrey. But like you said, a best ball league, I feel maybe a little better about taking him first overall. I still would take Taylor personally. What about you, Mike? What would you do there in a best ball format?
I still got to go with Taylor too. I guess I'm a little leery of just what's happened with McCaffrey the last couple seasons. I feel like Taylor is so safe, and his upside is still crazy high. Like, I feel like his upside is just as high as McCaffrey, even though McCaffrey does so much on both sides of the offense there. I would go Taylor regardless of format.
All right, so that's enough about my FSGA league. Let's move over to yours now, Logan. Prop bets. So it's a futures prop bet with a lot of industry experts. Really kind of fun, something different. Can you talk about some of your picks, some of your strategy?
Yeah, it's very different. A big shout out to Tim for RT Sports with putting this together. You can go in and take futures or different props over different players with college and NFL. So I kind of did a mixture of both. I really stacked some of my picks. So I had the Bills to win the Super Bowl, I had Josh Allen to win MVP, and also Bills to win the AFC Championship. So if the Bills do good, I'm looking great in this competition. If they don't make the playoffs or they don't make the Super Bowl, then it's going to be a little iffy with losing out on a couple of selections. But my order of picks goes Bills Super Bowl, Josh Allen MVP, Keenan Allen under 100.5 receptions, Georgia National Championships for NCAA football, Bills AFC champ, Aaron Rodgers under 4,100 passing yards, Eagles to win the NFC East, Rams to win NFC West, Michigan Big Ten champions, and Coach of the Year, Matt LaFleur.
I like it. So what's your strategy overall, like when you're doing something like this, a game against other experts like this, trying to come out on top? What's your play?
With a 14-team league, you have to have a huge future that wins. And I kind of took that risk with the Bills winning it all. That plus 600 number really stood out to me with them winning the championship this year. There's a lot of other different owners that have really high odds, such as, if we go through some of these, like Lamar Jackson to win MVP plus 2,200 taken in the first round. Then you also got like Drew Lock to win MVP at plus 20,000. You got some really long shots. But in order to win this type of league, you have to have a long shot that hits, followed by some other wins throughout the
That was going to be the one that stood out to me. I saw someone pick Drew Lock to be MVP. I mean, that's the ultimate of long
yeah, that's the if it hits, you pay $250 to win, and it's a $50,000 hit if it hits.
Was that somebody related to Drew Lock? Do you know? Anybody, any relation? Was he a Mizzou guy? That's crazy. Mike, anything? I know you're big into this as well, and you do a good job. I see on Twitter a lot. You tweet out some good prop bets and plays of the day and stuff like that. Anything that you like at all in these bets that stood out to you?
Yeah, first of all, like you guys were saying, the Stones for that Drew Lock pick. I mean, that's like flushing money down the toilet. Yeah, I really like I said, I drafted Rodgers in my league. But Logan, I really like your pick of taking the under on him with the passing yards. They're going to be a run-heavy offense with that wide receiver group. They're going to rely heavily on their defense as well. So I like the under there. Some other bets that I was looking through the draft that I liked. I really like the Bears under 6.5 wins. They won 6 games last year. They did not get any better. So I like the under on that number there. And then I like the Seahawks under 5.5 wins. I'm going against the potential MVP, Drew Lock. You look at that team between Lock and Geno Smith, they might not even win 4 games, let alone 6. So those are just a couple of the other ones that stood out to me throughout the draft.
Yeah, so let's segue into our prop bets for the day now, because we're going to give everybody 2 prop bets for today. Like we said, it's a new game that we have here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Go to rtsports.com. You can click on the Daily League lobby to get into that. correct? And
Correct.
that's how you can get in.
Yep, under the daily lobby, the Pick'em tab. Check
Yep.
it out.
So we're each going to give you two. I'm going to let Logan go first. You give me your two prop bets for today. So this is for Friday. What's today's date?
July 22nd.
July 22nd. So I want to make sure, so if you're watching this on a different day, you don't go in and wondering where the heck it is. But we'll have this up today, and it's for today, July 22nd. Go ahead, Logan. Give me two.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Adam Wainwright over 4.0 strikeouts. So Wainwright in the last 7 games, he's hit that over number 6 times in the last 7. He's facing Cincinnati today, who is a very strikeout-heavy team. They averaged 8.8 strikeouts per game, and 4.0 is a very low number for Wainwright. In his last couple of games, he went 7-5, 7-9, 5-3, 5. So 6 out of the last 7 games, he's hit that, and he's facing, like I said, a very strikeout-heavy team. So I'm going to be going with that pick as my number 1 lock of the day. And then another one I'm going to go with is Freddie Freeman under 13.5 fantasy points. So that's a very high number, and he's facing a very high-quality pitcher in Logan Webb today. If you look at our daily fantasy scoring, he's going to have to put together at least a double, single, RBI, and a run score to hit that 13.5, and that is a lot to put together against Logan Webb, who's coming in with a 2.6 ERA.
I like it. Okay, I'm going to give you my two. I'll let Mike go last. So I'm going to go with everybody's favorite TikToker, Joey Votto, and his under 0.5 runs. So he has just 24 runs in 67 games this season. He's facing a tough pitcher in the aforementioned Adam Wainwright you were just talking about. He's having the worst seasons ever for him, hitting only .214. So I just think Votto, I would take the under there. I don't think, like you, I don't think the Reds are going to score much in this game. I like Wainwright to shut them down coming out of the All-Star break. He's rested, ready to go. So the TikToker under 0.5 runs. My second one is Shohei Ohtani over 0.5 hits. You know, it's Shohei Ohtani. He's unbelievable. He's gotten a hit in 25 of his last 40 games. And also, he's pitching in this matchup as well. And he's facing Charlie Morton, who has a 4.45 ERA for the season. He's struggled a lot this year, Morton. He's been a little better lately, but still, right-hand pitcher, Shohei Ohtani. I like his chances here. I think he's going to have a good game, maybe get a couple hits, not just one, to get this over. All right, Mike, last but not least, give us your two prop bets for today. Who do you got?
Yeah, first of all, I'll give a plug. I also have an article that I sent in that will be coming out on this later today, so be sure to check back on the site for that. 2 of these picks were discussed in the article. There's more in there too, so be sure to check it out. My first one, I'm going to go with Matt Olson under 9.5 fantasy points. Yeah, he's pretty hot heading into the break, but he's going against, like you guys said, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani's been as good as it gets. He's allowed 2 earned runs over his last 39 and 2/3 innings. During that 6-start stretch, he had a 0.78 whip and 58 strikeouts. So I'm not sure how Olson's going to hit the over on that pretty juicy number. And then my second one, I'm going to go Max Scherzer over 7 pitcher strikeouts. He has not skipped a beat since coming back from the injured list. He's allowed 2 runs over 19 in the 3rd innings in his last 3 starts. He had at least 9 strikeouts in each of those starts, and he's got a 34% strikeout rate for the season. So I'll take Scherzer over 7 strikeouts.
I like it, Mike. Like you said, you got an article coming out on that today, and also your pitching primer comes out today. It's a great weekly read. I highly suggest you read it. It's a great way to get ready for the following week. Find those 2-start pitchers. It's a great article, so please check it out every week. Every Friday it comes out, posted on our website, and then he has a special prop bet one as well this week. Mike, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. A lot of fun talking to you today.
Thanks for having me on, guys. A lot of fun. And if you ever need me in the future, I'm always here sitting in my basement being prepared for fantasy sports.
Awesome. We will definitely hit you up on that again, Mike. Appreciate it. All right, Logan. Great show. We went over a lot of stuff, talked about 3 different drafts, talked about our new prop bet stuff. We gave some people some prop bets for today as well. So a lot of fun. Really appreciate you joining me, Logan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jeff.
We'll have to do it again sometime soon. And appreciate everybody for watching as well. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.
And this has been Logan Glaser from RealTime Fantasy Sports.
Have a great day, everyone.